Some other things that I've forgotten to do because I said it. I don't remember which blog I said it in, but I was going to do like apologies to people that I feel like that maybe I was unduly cruel or negative towards in my life. They may or may not have known it. And actually, ever since I did that first one, I've been thinking about the others that I want to talk about. And I actually want to do a couple, three actually. I want to do three now because they were all from college. And one was a girl that was in my class, and she was nice enough, but she really annoyed me. And I remember at one time I tried to hang out with her and be friends with her, and for some reason she really got under my skin. So I really kept my distance, and she kind of assumed a friendship where there wasn't one. I mean, we were friendly and I didn't hate her guts or anything, but I didn't really want to hang out with her all the time, and I didn't want to invite her over, and I didn't want her inviting me over, and blah, blah, blah. Well, I had planned a graduation party for the people that I graduated with that I felt I was really close to. And she was one of the people that I was not close to. Well, I had already had this idea. And then, after I had this idea, she came up to me one day and she was talking about having a big graduation party for all of us in the theater department who were graduating. Well, most of them were coming to my little shindig. And another reason I couldn't have a lot of people was because I had a very tiny apartment. And I would have loved to have had a big bash, but I couldn't. So I had to make it exclusive, as we say. Well, she talked about it, and she said her parents were going to help her, like, rent some kind of banquet hall or something, blah, blah, blah. And I kind of was non-committal and was like, whatever, I don't know. I just, my family's going to be in town, and I kind of lied because although I didn't want her there, I also didn't want to hurt her feelings that she wasn't invited to what I was putting together. Well, everyone was coming over to my house that night, and unfortunately, one of the people who did come told someone, an underclassman, what was going on, and they actually had a party that night for the people that weren't invited to my party, and the word spread pretty fast. And she actually called me that night while the two parties were going on, and we had words, and it was the last time we ever spoke. At the time, I felt extremely justified because I wanted it to be a happy night. I wanted it to be my tight group of friends, a clique, if you will. And I didn't want to have to put up with annoying idiosyncrasies from other people. Well, you know what? It was really selfish. And I look back at it now and I imagine what I would have felt like if I had been the only person in the class who hadn't been invited. And, well, she wasn't the only one. There was a couple of them. And she was the only one that I didn't hate that wasn't invited. The other people I really didn't like. And I wouldn't have invited them, and I could have cared less if they knew. But you know what? I'm sorry. I shouldn't have done that. And I was young and stupid. And, of course, I thought I was grown up and knew everything, but I didn't. And so that wasn't a very pleasant thing to do, and I did it. So I am truly sorry, and it happens. Another person from college was a younger guy who was in the Gay and Lesbian Student Organization, the GLBSA, Gay, Lesbian, Bisexual Student Association, that I was president of. And he would get on, again, with the nerves, he would get on my nerves because I would try to have a very productive meeting. And, I mean, he was alright. We'd talk afterwards and stuff, but he would do things that would really annoy, like, he'd interrupt and want to talk about boys or, who's single or gossip about Hollywood or what have you. So he kind of continued to grow in that atmosphere of where he was very... Apparently he had to take medication because he had attention deficit disorder. He was a little, overactive. Is that the word? Anyway. One of a party. There was a party thrown by someone, and he had a really bad. Well, I say bad habit. It wasn't a bad habit. He had a habit of buying outlandish things to wear, and he would wear them. Well, I was at this party, and I was drinking and hanging out with some people, and he showed up with a cane and boots covered in glitter. And I'll never to this day know exactly why I did it, but I started laughing. Like, like cruel, after school special, pointing and laughing. And some people kind of laughed in the beginning, and for some reason I remember forcing myself to laugh even harder. For some reason, I wanted him to feel bad for it. And that was just wrong. And I don't know why. I think it was because, I don't know, I think part of it was I thought he was cute, but maybe, you heard the ones like some third grade kind of, I'm going to punch you and run away because I think you're cute. And I thought he was cute, but back then I thought everyone was cute because I couldn't get attention to save my life. Because of my low self-esteem, because of whatever. But it didn't really justify it. And I just hope that at the very least he just views me as a raging asshole, which I deserve, and it didn't, give him low self-esteem or make him feel bad about himself, because that's just not the kind of energy one wants to put out in the universe. And so do you. I am also sorry. And the last person is a teacher I had. He was a science teacher, and he was an old Republican conservative type person. And he taught us that global warming wasn't real, that it was just something because sometimes nature is cyclical, and so sometimes the ozone goes away and then it comes back, and we haven't been looking at it long enough to know if it's really a problem or not. Because, for some reason, these people who still believe global warming isn't real, what's the harm of not putting horrible chemicals in the atmosphere? Seriously. Anyway, the reason I'm sorry for him was because he died while I was not in his class, but I was still in college, and I laughed. I was happy with glee, and it was because I averaged my grade before he did, and I had a higher grade than what he gave me. And I think his math was off, but he kind of dismissed me, and my grades were really important to me. And on top of that, we didn't get along, and he bored me, and I, chit-chatted in class and wrote notes to my friends and stuff. And so, looking back on it, it's like, you know what, you can't ever really be happy that someone died. I mean, it happens and it's life, but they have family, and their family is sad. And even Jerry Falwell, it's like, yeah, he was kind of Hitler to the homosexual community, but if we want people to stop hating us, then we've got to show love towards them, even if they do hate us. And Cyndi Lauper made that comment at the True Colors tour. I really took it to heart, and it made a lot of sense. And, it's the whole turn the other cheek, rise above it, be better than the person that you're dealing with, don't, lower yourself to their level, that kind of thing. It's hard to do. No one's perfect, and I don't do it all the time either.